Hey, this is Doug Sandler, producer of the Net Profit Podcast. We didn't want you to miss an exciting episode with Ryan, but Ryan has taken the week off. So here is a classic rewind of the Net Profit Podcast coming at you right now.
Welcome to the Net Profit Podcast with Ryan Kibler, your net profit CFO, helping business owners like you grow their net profit one episode at a time. And now your host, Ryan Kibler.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Net Profit Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Kibler, the Net Profit CFO. Today, I've got a very special guest with me. I've got Davina Frederick with me. She is the founder of Wealthy Woman Lawyer. I am excited to have her on the show today. Obviously, in her business, she's working with women lawyers and helping them really grow their business, scale their business, become more successful. I really appreciate the framework that she has and the work that she does. So, Davina, welcome to the show. Thank you for taking the time.
Hi, Ryan. Thanks for inviting me. I always enjoy a conversation with you.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you again for taking the time. I'm excited to, share your talents, your business with my audience, because I think the work that you do is really, really needed and really great. I want to give you a couple minutes. Obviously, I gave a little bit of a background, but, share with my audience a couple minutes of your story, kind of how you got to where you are today, and then we'll go from there.
Well, my story is sort of long and meandering, so I'll try to keep it short and powerful. But essentially, I worked for 15 years in professional services marketing, and then I got an opportunity to go to law school, become a lawyer, and I did so with the goal of starting my own law firm right out of law school. I was about 42 at the time I graduated, started my own firm, and I thought since I sort of had this extensive background in professional services marketing, this would be easy peasy. Of course, I didn't know what I didn't know about running a business. And I set about trying to figure that out. I grew my law firm successfully, but at some point, I had developed a beast that I didn't really know how to handle. I was working way more than I ever thought I would. All I wanted to do when I got home at night was drink wine and then eat because I drank wine, and I'm not a drinker. This is the funny part about it, but I had never been. And I would just be so mentally drained from wearing all the hats. I was the firm administrator, I was the senior partner, I was the full-time litigator. I was doing all the things, right? I was an unofficial coach and therapist to my clients and to my employees. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way. And in that particular case, I had some other things going on in my personal life at the same time that I just thought I've got to step away from all of this and rethink what it is that I want and what I want that to look like. And when I did that, I took about a year and worked in our other business and really examined what it was I was doing wrong and right and what I liked, what I didn't like. And I got involved in the coaching world. Began hiring coaches to help me and learning, and of course, reading and listening to podcasts and all those things so that I could figure out where I had gone wrong and how to get more of what I want. And then I started my second law firm with a lot more knowledge. And that was a different experience. I then was building that law firm and this coaching business at the same time because I fell so much in love with the power of coaching. And as I was doing that, I kind of got to a point where I had to make a choice between the two. They were both sort of growing equally, and I had to make a choice. And I really love the coaching. So I went in that direction. I started out doing coaching for professional service businesses. And it was really bringing my strategic planning skills to the table because I saw so many people who were growing their businesses and they were kind of like doing a lot of haphazard things without a plan. And I'm just a planner at heart. I'm like, okay, wait. So
Sure.
I started helping people create a strategic growth plan. And then that led to sort of the coaching and guiding them in the implementation of the plan. And I started having a lot of, in particular, women law firm owners saw me as a lawyer who had done what they wanted to do and said, can you help me? And so I rebranded a number of years later to create Wealthy Woman Lawyer, specifically to focus on women law firm owners, because I felt there was a very different need there that I could fulfill. And so that is kind of the quick down and dirty of how I started Wealthy Woman Lawyer.
Yeah. So it sounds like, along the way from your own experience of running a law firm and it didn't exactly go as how you planned, right?
Yeah.
And how
I was
you
making
thought
money,
it would.
but I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that probably sparked some inspiration to start Wealthy Woman Lawyer in a roundabout way.
Yeah, it did. And that really came out of, I had most of my clients began to be women lawyers. I had other professional service clients that I worked with. And then I just started getting more and more women lawyers. And I just was like, the niching down, right? I just
Yep.
said, I'm going to, because with my background in marketing, I know that when we really get clear on who our audience is, we speak their language, we're going to be highly attractive to them and highly repellent to people who are not them. And so that is what I chose to do. And I did it because I did at that time. Well, when I started my firm, there wasn't anything like Wealthy Woman Lawyer for
Yeah.
me. The coaches that I hired throughout were kind of generic. They weren't specializing in law firms in particular. The ones that were specializing in law firms felt cost prohibitive to me. They felt really out of reach. They seemed like they were targeted more toward larger law firms. And I was a bootstrap solo that grew my firm. And I feel like most of us, there's no venture capital in the legal industry. Most of us are bootstrapping. We're starting out on our own. And those years of going solo, I think, I don't have any statistics on this. This is just my opinion, right? That a lot of women will stay solo for a lot longer than men will. Men will kind of take on a little bit more risk, bring in partners, grow things. You'll have two bros out of law school that get together and say, we're going to grow this law firm. And 20 years later, they have a national law firm business. Whereas women tend to be, we're the high achieving woman myth. I mean, we're kind of working there away at it and we'll stay solo for our whole career. And then we'll get to the end of the career and we'll be like, I can't sell it. I don't have an asset I can sell because if I go away, the business goes away. I haven't put enough away for a retirement or for the future. So I've got to work and die at my desk. And this came out of conversations I had with colleagues. And so I really felt there was a need to create something that holds a bigger vision for women lawyers. And so what if you could have a whole lot more than you do? You could impact a whole lot more people than you do who need good legal services. And you did that by realizing that you don't have to be the doer of all things,
Yep.
right? Like if you stop being the doer of all things, what if your impact increases tenfold, right?
Yeah.
But high achieving women, that's our go-to. That's what got us here. That's what got us to be exceptional lawyers is we got all the gold stars. We made all the good grades. We got the scholarships. We did all the things to advance. We're still out there taking more certification courses and getting that, extra degree or whatever it is. And it's like at some point, you got to stop educating and start actually applying, right?
Yeah.
And so that was really my focus was to say, what if you could take that education you already have, the certification you already have, the hard work you already have, and you apply the something more that is needed to get to the next level.
Yeah. Love that. I mean, I think it's, for business owners that, we're striving to be experts at what we do, like lawyers, like, CFOs like myself, like
Right.
it's really easy to underestimate what we know. And I,
Right.
I think we trap ourselves because we realize that we do know a lot and it took us a long time to get there. And at the same time, we also are, most of us are humble enough to recognize all the things we don't know. And
Mm-hmm.
so that I think leads us to like kind of being trapped and underestimating what we do know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's a danger of not recognizing what we do know. Let's focus on that and let's bring in other people to help us with what we don't know. So, for
For
instance,
sure.
marketing. I mean, I have a background in marketing, right? So
Mhm.
I know a lot about marketing, but I'm not the best person for every job in my business. So I hire marketers, other people with whole careers and whole degrees and whole amounts of experience instead of trying to myself handle all the marketing by myself in addition to doing all the other things by myself, right? So
Yep.
I think that's a trap that we fall into. I know attorneys, we believe that we are smarter than the average bear. And that is the case for most of us. We are smarter than the average bear. However, you don't have to have a whole education about everything in your business to have all the elements in your business. I'll give you an example. For me, I actually worked as a bookkeeper, put myself through college. I was not a great bookkeeper. Okay. I
Yep.
look back and I go, oh my God, how did these people not fire me? But I do not like bookkeeping. It is not
Yeah.
something that I like to do. I love to look at financial reports and see my coins stacking up, right? But
Yep.
I don't love to do the bookkeeping. So I'm going to hire a bookkeeper, right?
Yep.
The gray area I think we get into is when we have the talent, but then we're still not the best person for the job. And I use this when it comes to hiring other lawyers. You may be an excellent lawyer, but if you want to expand, you want to create a business, not a job, not a really hard job that you've created for yourself, but a business that can operate with or without you. So you can be out if you need to be out, and that business is still making money for you. And you want to have more free time to do what you want to do, and you want to have a sellable asset one day, perhaps, right? You have got to realize that there comes a time when you need to be hiring other lawyers. Yes, you know how to lawyer, but maybe the highest and best use of your time at some point becomes mentoring, teaching, coaching, training other associate attorneys to work for you so you can focus on growing the business, rainmaking, whatever it is that's going to move that lever and grow your business to the next level. It doesn't mean that if you love being a lawyer, that you have to stop being a lawyer. And if you are an excellent lawyer, and by far that's the best thing, and you're not capable of running a business, but you own a business, then maybe that person for you is a firm administrator or a director of operations that you're hiring, or a CFO that you're hiring, right? You're hiring those people to help you run the business. But what I find is that, a lot of us are out there plugging away for years doing all the things.
Yep.
And so I try to, just do my part to preach that you'll enjoy life a little bit more if you stop trying to do all the things that maybe you're not the best person for or you don't enjoy doing, right? And you can do it. You can. There are people out there who will help you,
Sure.
right? So that's kind of my little mission, my Joan of Arc statement.
Yeah. And I like to come at it from an additional angle, right? Is what if, okay, you might be a great lawyer out there, you might be great at doing legal work. What if you actually could hire someone that was better than you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's even
Right?
better. That's even better. Yeah. You hire
Right?
people who already have the knowledge.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. That's in my marketing example, like I have a dangerous amount of like marketing knowledge and tech knowledge.
Yep.
And I have just enough like knowledge to be dangerous in those areas. And in fact, I was just mentioning something to my husband who works as my business manager in this business. And I was saying, oh, I want to do this or that. He goes, why are you going to do that? Because that's not the highest best use of your time. You need but like the habit,
Yep.
that's smarter than the average bear thing. I think if I just had more time, I could learn how to do this or I could do that because I'm intellectually curious, all those things. But it's not the best move if what my goal is to create a profitable, sustainable, wealth generating business. If that's my goal, yes, I may be able to, I remember back, this tells you how old I am. I used to work for an ad agency back in the 90s and we designed websites. Websites were new,
Yep.
and there were so many lawyers out there that were solo lawyers who were designing their own websites. And I still see it. I still see it a lot. Solo lawyers, they go, I'll design it myself. Well, you're having to learn a whole new skill. Now it's a lot easier to get a website up than it used to be, right?
Sure.
But back then, people were learning coding to be able to do
Yeah.
it. And it's like, this is crazy. What are you doing? Right? But
Right.
this is not going to move the needle in your business and grow your business if that's what your goal is.
For sure. Yeah. I want to dive into, I mean, you really help women lawyers who own their own practice. You really help them scale. And I think we've started to kind of touch on it. I mean, obviously you've got to you can't have your hand in everything. You've got to
Yeah.
start making choices and not doing everything. But what are some other keys that you would say that you help women lawyers with that really help them scale their business?
Right. So I think a lot of times there's a lot of messaging out there about people helping people grow law firms.
Hmm.
And I've talked about marketing so far. So some people may think, oh, you do marketing. It's no, that's not what I do. I actually have a framework that says if you apply this framework, if you pull these levers, you will be able to scale your law firm business to seven figures, multiple seven figures. Because a lot of my clients are kind of in that six-figure range and they're struggling to get over that seven-figure mark. Because what you do at seven figures is not, I mean, at six figures is not going to get you to seven figures. You're going to have to
Yeah.
make some changes in how you function and how you operate to get a revenue of seven figures or more, multiple seven figures. And so what I'm doing is teaching them that framework to apply to their business and the order to apply it to scale their law firm over seven figures, multiple seven figures. So some of those things are obviously we address the mindset because one of the challenges that we have is there are a lot of my clients, and I used to be one of them. I come from a middle class background where I was taught hard work is the answer to everything. Hard work, hard work, hard work. And I think hard work is important. And I think it's something that gets underestimated in today's world, hard
Yep.
work. But something more is needed beyond hard work if you want to become wealthy, right? What is that something more? Well, it's leverage. So we're looking at how do I leverage, right? What does that mean? What can I leverage? I can leverage my time. I can leverage a team. I can leverage systems. And what's wonderful these days is we have so much great automation out there, right? That we can apply. But there's all kinds of things that we can leverage to scale, but we have to first shift our mindset around that and say, hard work got me here, but I keep working harder, harder, harder. And how much harder can I realistically work at this point? Because I'm already working my guts out.
Yep.
And then you realize this isn't working. There's something else that's needed. And that's the missing piece that we sort of help people figure out. So that is working on, in addition to mindset, working on your making sure that we are attracting the right kind of clients that you want to attract, that we're charging enough and we're attracting people that can pay our fees without, us having to chase down money. There's nothing I like less than chasing down money and
Yep.
setting up frameworks to help people get out of that chasing down money or dealing with the wrong clients or anything like that. And just setting up marketing systems to attract the better clients. And then focusing on that leveraging your resources piece. How am I prioritizing my time? Because most of us are not prioritizing our time correctly. We're trying to manage time. All that means is we're trying to get everything done that's on the to-do list. We're not rethinking whether or not some of those things should even be on the to-do list and who else can do them, right? And then a lot of people say, well, I think I'm delegating, and then they realize they really don't know how to delegate effectively in a way that gets things done. So we address how do we hire people? How are we hiring the right people? What system do we have to set up to hire? How do we delegate? How do we train? And how do we retrain ourselves to function in a way as somebody who can now lead a team, right? Because we're not born leaders any more than we're born lawyers. It's skills that we have to learn. And then the systems piece of it is obviously giving our team the tools to run the business. And then finally, in the framework is really understanding and mastering your money. I'm always a little bit surprised. I know you probably are too, when you encounter people who are successful kind of despite themselves because they don't look at their finances or understand how they work or what it means, or be able to use them, much less use them as a guide to grow their business. And you'll hear a lot of lawyers say, I became a lawyer. I'm bad at math, which is why I became a lawyer, right? So I went to law school
Yep.
because I'm not a math person, I'm a word person. And I've said it, other people have said it, and I'm not, a math whiz at all. But when it comes to understanding how my business makes money, how I personally make money, taxes, all the things, I want to know all of that, right? And I figure if I'm smart enough to go through law school, pass the bar, work as a lawyer, I can figure out business math. I can figure out what I need to know. And so that's really what we're doing here is I get a lot of clients that just they can't. I'll ask a very simple key performance indicator, like might be what was your gross revenue last year? Just a very top line gross revenue. They don't know. I'll have to check with my accountant or my bookkeeper. And I'm like, no, that's not what we're talking about here, right? And it doesn't mean that they're stupid or it doesn't mean that it just means that they don't have the confidence. They don't have the confidence to talk about money, to look at it, discuss it, dig into those vulnerabilities and say, there is help. There is somebody who can help me figure that out. And it's really not as difficult as I think it is. Like
Yep.
for us non-math people, math can make us feel really stupid, right? So we're really there to say, you're not stupid. You just don't know what you don't know, right? And
Sure.
and then all of that together uh, changes at various times as we're growing the firm, depending on where people are. So some people may come to us and they just haven't even hired their first staff person. And then there are other people who come to us and they're like, okay, I've been working with great paralegals for years, but I've never hired a lawyer. And they have fear around hiring a lawyer. And so we're discussing, okay, what do we do? What are the baby steps to hiring a lawyer? How do we
Yep.
get there? And we're working on the mindset as we're working on the systems for hiring lawyers, training lawyers, managing lawyers, whatever, that kind of thing. So we are always kind of doing the dance with our clients. We're meeting them where they are, and we're doing that to help them get over that first kind of really scary. The first mark is I made 6 figures this year, right? But we all know that 6 figures isn't 6 figures you're taking home in your pocket. The
Correct.
next the next one is I'm taking 6 figures home in my pocket. And I'm
Yep.
surprised at how many people are making pretty close to $1 million and they're not taking home 6 figures. So we make those adjustments as well, right? How do you manage your money so you're actually taking home some money? And then sort of how to get over that million and then how to get into the multiple millions. So those are kind of the different stages that we walk people through.
Yeah. Love it. Very strong framework. And I
Yeah.
think, from my experience, in working with lawyers as well, I mean, you're definitely hitting on, some of the challenge points for sure as they're growing, the challenges they're going to run into. And I really, really like that framework. And I completely agree with you. Sometimes I am surprised about, just lawyers not knowing what their numbers are or where their numbers are, right? And that's a lot of my service as well, is like education, right? And
Right.
understanding like it's not just top line revenue, but it's also what do we net, what are we paying taxes on, what are we taking home, all of those numbers to know. I mean, I think if you're a business owner, you should know not just what you sold, but what did you net and what did you take home. I mean, at least knowing those 3 numbers, what you sold, what you netted, what you took home, at least knowing those 3 numbers is I think a bare minimum place to start.
Yeah, yeah, and it's amazing. I think sort of you are definitely a financial guy, so you have much more depth in what we're doing. What I'm working with is helping them uh, develop the confidence and know what questions to ask, know where to start, know how to get that, know how to hire certain people
Yep.
'cause a lot of people don't know. You and I've talked recently about your financial team, who all should be on your financial team and what that looks like. And a lot of people come to me and they're getting fleeced by some CPA who's doing their bookkeeping and they're paying them huge amounts per month. And I'm like, wait, this is not what you need. This would makes more sense for you to do this at this stage of growth in your business. And a lot of it's just really lack of knowledge and then kind of fear around exposing that lack of knowledge and saying, I can't talk to anybody about this because I'm embarrassed that I don't know this. But
Yep.
who taught us? Just like nobody teaches us, we have to learn leadership skills, just like we have to learn legal skills, like we have to learn courtroom skills, like we have to learn money management skills in our business, not just our personal finances. So really, there's no need to be embarrassed because it's just something that you haven't learned yet, you
Yep.
know? And what I teach is going to be a lot, somebody like you comes in with your knowledge, you're going to go into a lot more details with them because that's your background. For me, we're starting the conversation and we're starting to, here's what we need to know as the basics so that we can understand how our business runs. And then we bring in experts, right? So I'm
Sure.
not doer in that for them. I'm not the person that's going to sit there and balance their books or anything or pay their taxes, but I am going to talk with them and educate them so they now have the confidence to go out and talk with other people. So it's a whole framework of all the pieces that are needed for scaling your business. And that education alone is just eye opening for people.
Yep.
And they start to realize, oh, this is how I make more money. This is how I serve more people. This is how I create a firm culture that I love. This is how I attract people that I want to work with. And that's what we're doing.
For sure. So you and I both, right? We really help law firms and we're both really helping them focused on scaling, right? And me, it's always, growing the financials, growing revenue, growing profits, growing what you take home.
Mm.
And you're more helping them grow their structure, grow their business. I mean, I've got a few reasons myself, but why do you think it's essential to really scale?
So I have some people who say, well, I don't need that much. But one of the things I do when I work with private clients in particular is I sit down and I start I start with personal goals.
Yep.
And they will often write these sort of little sketchy personal goals. And then I say, no, we're going to dig deeper than this. What do you really want? And we start naming all the things that they want. And then I start assigning dollar figures to them. How much is that? How much is that? How much is that? And then they start to see, oh, the reason I need a lot more money is because I got a lot of big goals that need to be funded, right?
Yep.
So if I want to, a big one for my clients, is I want to travel the world. They need, you need some way to fund that. Either you're doing it on, points, but you're still charging stuff on cards to get the points,
Yeah.
or you're saving the money, or you're putting on cards, paying them off. However you're doing it, it's got to be paid for in some way, right? So international travel is huge. Children paying for college, paying for private schools. A lot of my clients are moms. They want to pay for private school for the kid. They want to help out with college. And most of them aren't even thinking about the number one thing that I think about, which is securing your financial future. So retirement is the word. I did a whole podcast episode on why it's a dirty word that attorneys don't want to talk about, because a lot of people, I'm not even thinking about retirement. Well, yeah, that was me in my 20s and 30s. I wasn't thinking about retirement either, because you don't think it's going to happen to you. But if you live long enough, then you're lucky enough, right? So, but I call it preparing for your financial future, because anything can happen. And I
Yep.
find that a lot of people, either a lot of women will say, well, my husband handles that, which for intersectional feminists such as myself, it's like nails on a chalkboard. But I say, you never know, because I'm in my 50s, about to turn 60. And I, you know, a lot of husbands die of heart attacks when you're in your 50s, if they're in their 50s, right? 60s, whatever. And it's just a fact that a lot of, women statistically outlive men. And so even if you don't go through a divorce, which a lot of people go through divorce, even you don't go through death of a spouse, you still have to think about your financial future. So it's very important for me to shine a light on that for them and say, all the things you're wanting to do, you kind of have them out there on a wish list that it will just happen. But what if we were more intentional about that? What if we said, I need to if I create a wealth generating business, I could take care of my family the way I want to. I can enjoy my life the way I want to. I can protect myself for in the future financially and my family. I can protect my employees so that there's something, if I get taken out, there's a business that still operates without me. There's a lot of things that I'm just shining a light on and getting people to think about. And they're going, oh, yeah, right. This is what I want, but I've never really thought about it in this way. So that's why I think it is so important. And also we know in our capitalist society that money is power. The more financially secure we are, the more options we're going to have, the more resources we have, the more we'll be able to live the kind of life we want to live. It's really that hierarchy of needs that we want to get to that level of self-actualization. And we have more opportunities if we have the independence that having your own money provides. So that's really what I'm about. Now, some people, don't think that way or don't align with that or think there's another way to get there. For me, I'm just using the tool of a business, in this case, a law firm business, and saying, we're using this as a tool to get you what you want. All right. In addition to that, also, you get to do really fulfilling work. You get to make a difference in the world. You get to serve more people, help more people who need great attorneys, because we need a lot more people served by great attorneys in this day and age. So that's my long-winded answer to that question.
For sure. No, I completely agree with those reasons. I mean, and you're providing jobs too. More jobs, the bigger you grow your
Right.
business.
And I would also say not just jobs, but also if you build a sustainable business, you are providing security for those people who are really good team members for you, who
For
really
sure.
love you, love working with you, love your work environment you're creating, love what you're doing, love the work that they do. You're creating a job security for them and a financial security for them so they can build their financial security to protect their families and do things. So it is
Yeah.
a ripple effect, right?
For sure. Yeah. And I love all the reasons that you gave. And I think, as you scale, you talked about this, but you really are building an asset, right? And if you can get it to a place where it's not reliant upon you, then, there's peace of mind there, right? That's definitely something I'm working towards. What if I was hit by a bus tomorrow, right? Like, can
Right.
the business go on and live on its own and provide an income for my family even after I'm gone, right? I mean, obviously, you can protect yourself with insurance and things like that, but having something that is still living and still grows and is ongoing is much better, in my opinion, than just a one-time insurance
Yeah.
payout.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I also think there's legacy is a
Yeah.
piece. I don't have children. I have two beautiful nephews. People hear me talk about them all the time, but I don't have children. The legacy piece is not as important for me, but for a lot of my clients, it is important because they want to build generational wealth. They want to have something that they could bring their children into. They want to, really create something that moves their larger family tree
Yeah.
into a different place than maybe the way they grew up or their parents grew up or their grandparents move up. So there's a lot had growing up. So there's a lot of reasons why. What I do is I try to get my clients to think more deeply about why they want this. And so some of them, so for people who don't want it, then they're not my ideal client, right? They're going to be people
Yeah.
who have different dreams and different viewpoints, different ways. So they're not going to want to work with me. They're going to go, Davina, you don't know what you're talking about. And that's fine. That's more power to them. But for the people who resonate with what I'm saying, I'm just there to say, there is a way. You can do this. And I think based on what you're telling me that you want, you must do this,
Yeah.
right? Because this is the vehicle you have that you've worked so hard to get and create. So let's use it to help you with all those dreams that you have.
For sure. Yeah, I would encourage my audience, rewind the last couple of minutes, really think on that, right?
Yeah.
And I want to kind of wrap this up, Davina. Where is the best place for my audience to go to get connected with you? I know you've got your own podcast and obviously your own coaching business. Where's the best place for them to go and get connected with you and start working with you?
Great. So the first thing I would say, if you love podcasts, like I'm a big podcast junkie, if you love podcasts, add Wealthy Woman Lawyer to your rotation. We've been doing it for about 6 years now, and we get a lot of great feedback on our podcast. So that would be first and foremost, Wealthy Woman Lawyer website. There's a lot of resources there and ways to connect with me. You can book a call with me, or you can watch one of my trainings, my masterclass. Have a masterclass coming out soon. I do them frequently. I think by the time this is published, that masterclass will be over, but I will have another one on my calendar. You can find that information usually on my website, or you can follow me on Instagram. I am on LinkedIn. I tend not to be as big of a LinkedIn person as other people. I like to play on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram's a fun place to follow me because I have a wonderful social media team that helps me create some really creative content there. So it's just a fun thing if you like Instagram.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. We will make sure that we get a lot of those links, website and podcast links and all that down in the show notes for our listeners. And thank you again for taking the time and coming on the show.
Thanks for inviting me, Ryan. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Well, until next time, everybody, go accelerate your profits. See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Net Profit Podcast with Ryan Kimler. Make sure to subscribe or follow the show on your favorite podcast app. Don't forget to check the show notes for our guest contact information and to connect with Ryan on his website, netprofitcfo.com.